our latest of our Devon Chamber of Commerce member-led learning, where our member businesses share their knowledge and expertise for free with members. And this is something that you are all able to engage in as well. So if you want to know more, then please get in contact with Kirsty, who will be very happy to help. There's Kirsty giving you a wave. But today we have Daryl and Kelsey from the Inclusivity group, who are strategic partner members and a fantastic support to us at the Chamber as well. So Daryl and team have been looking after us for some time, helping us to become much better at being inclusive to all, and particularly where we have events, making sure that our access is really top notch and the best it can be, and talking through and how we can overcome some challenges. But what they are talking to you about today is access to work. So access to work is a fantastic, very little known government scheme, not very well publicised, and quite complicated to navigate, but actually does have some really, really useful benefits, both for individuals and for businesses, to be able to access grants, support and information that can help you with your teams, your inclusivity, and to make sure that people can bring their best selves to work and not be precluded for totally unnecessary reasons that are easily overcome. But Daryl is the expert in that. So I am now going to hand over to Daryl and Kelsey, who are going to share their slides and tell you a bit more. And thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you, Claire. And genuinely thank you for such a nice introduction. I'm sure you say other things behind my back, but nonetheless, I really appreciate the lovely things that you're saying. Just for everyone, really appreciate you all being here. You'll probably gather I speak normally at 6 million miles an hour, and I hate my presentations. So if I do speed up, just give me the look of you've lost me, and I'll try and slow down, or you'll see Kelsey making me slow down. I'm just going to start sharing the slides. If at any point there are any problems, you want us to stop sharing them so that you can see us speaking or so on and so forth, just let us know, raise a hand, put something in the comments, and we will stop and accommodate. But hopefully it'll be what you're looking for. I'm going to share, and hopefully everyone can now see our screen. I can't see you, but I'm hoping you can all see our screen. Yep, perfect. So just so you both know, we will both be slightly looking off screen every now and then. We've got our notes on the side, so I'll just really be transparent with you all. I'm not getting distracted. There's something here for us to look at. So as Claire mentioned, the whole concept of what we're here for today is to give everyone information about access to work. You'll learn a little bit about us in a second, but what's really important is we don't do a hard sell. What we massively believe in is sharing information and letting people know about very little not very well-known services, especially when it comes to government funding. There's so much nowadays when it comes to cuts and pots of money that used to be there that are no longer there. Access to work is one of the few gems that still exists, and we just want everyone to know about it as much as possible, which I'm sure drives access to work absolutely insane. So a little bit about us. So we are from the Inclusivity group. Makes us sound massive. We are a small Plymouth-based company. Even though we are based in Plymouth, we actually work nationwide, and a lot of our work is actually across the country, rather than in Plymouth, but we do a lot down here as well. The group, at the end of our title, makes us sound massive. As I said, we are a group of small businesses trying to make a real difference. So I'll quickly shoot over what we do and what we offer. So within the group, there's complete communication, complete training, and complete independence. So complete communication was my baby. I set that up with my partner 6.5 years ago. We were initially just going to be an interpreting agency, and then that C word that we don't talk about happened. We nearly closed, and then we pivoted and we moved into education-based support and event interpreting and so on and so forth. And from there, we've gone from a team of 2 people in my dining room table to my garage to an actual office. To now an office of 15 people within our office now, and we employ 46 people across the country, and actually are working in London, Wales, Derby, so on and so forth. So that's communication. Like, we range from everything from festivals to events. So Kimmer Summer Sessions, we were interpreting for Justin Timberlake recently, and we have festivals going on throughout the year. Theatre, employment-based support. So if somebody is deaf, disabled, neurodivergent, long, short-term health condition, we can provide support to be able to ensure that they can achieve and be their best, which is what we'll cover today. Education support, workplace, you name it. We also do diagnostic assessments, which is something that we'll make sure that we hint at because they're really useful to mention. Complete Training, if you hadn't already gathered, it's a training company. So we offer training, everything from 126 online CPD approved training courses, 75 courses face-to-face. We also teach British Sign Language, all the way from a free taster session that we fund as a company. So people can come along and give it a try and see if it's for them, to a reduced price introduction to a level 1, a level 2, level 3 and onwards. And we also teach Makaton courses as well. And then to Complete Independence, which we all say is our community-based company. It's a terrible business model because the entire concept of the business is to support people to be independent, to become their best self. Most people, when they become independent, don't need support. And as a business, we kind of want to keep clients, but that business is designed for clients to not need us. There will always be some who stay with us, but some will move on. And we always say for that company, it's supporting people in the community. Someone to leave their bedroom, come downstairs and make breakfast. Someone to help someone write a shopping list, go shopping with them, or someone to go to the theatre with someone sat next to them. The next time, 2 seats down, 2 rows behind, in the cafe, they go on their own. So that's kind of our entire ethos. And the reason that that fits under the Inclusivity group, and it was a big goal that we never thought we'd really achieve, was that we wanted to create a one-stop, one-shop, one story. Our clients tell us their story once, and that's it, no matter which company is supporting them. One system and one process, which has taken a long time. We've just restructured over 2 years, and if anyone's restructured, like, you can feel my pain. It's taken a long time, but that's kind of who we are. Yeah.
So our main topic today is obviously access to work. So as you can see, it's a government funded programme that offers support within the workplace. So for mental or physical health conditions or deaf or disabled people. And then you have to be obviously eligible. So that can be a long-term health condition, neurodiverse, such as dyslexia, ADHD, or autism. You have to be age 16 or over, live in England, Scotland, or Wales, and obviously you have to be in employment or you're about to start a job or work trial. It's important to note that access to work does not affect any other benefits that you may have already received.
So for anyone who's an employer or supports individuals, the key point is that actually access to work is a scheme that is there to support people to remain in employment. So one of the things that we mentioned was you need to be in employment, but there's a slight caveat to that beforehand. Whereas actually, if somebody has a job interview, then they can apply for support for that job interview. Be that needing a sign language interpreter, a sighted guide, captions, a support worker, so on and so forth. They can apply for that funding for that job interview. Most of the time we're used to it. What we tend to do is we will know that's happening, we will support someone to apply, we will provide the support, and then we'll fight with access to work to get the funding. Otherwise, it sometimes doesn't work as quickly as it needs to, because most of the job interviews, they go, are you available tomorrow? And most people aren't able to get funding in place within that time. So there's a slight caveat to it being employment based, but that can support somebody to have interviews and be able to be their best self within an interview. So as mentioned, access to work doesn't impact benefits, doesn't require, in most cases, any employer contribution. So unless you're a humongous organisation, it's actually 100% funded. And when it isn't, if you are a larger organisation or part of a large organisation, actually it's capped on how much the organisation does have to contribute towards the cost. And it tends to be a one-off contribution, which I've known for most is about £500 and is kind of capped there. So the types of support that access to work can provide can be anything from communication support, so a sign language interpreter, note taker, lip speaker, so on and so forth. Practical support, so whether that's a support worker, whether that's a sighted guide, a job coach, so for anyone who's somebody is has ADHD or whatever it may be and needs support to be able to understand their relationships with colleagues in the workplace, or one of my team is autistic, and actually they have a job coach to be able to understand the dynamics between relationships and clients and the conversations and that power dynamic which we all have, unfortunately, sometimes with clients. We don't have it that much in our office, but nonetheless, is there. But also just to understand your own self and understand what does it mean, because actually that label can sometimes mean more, and we've got to understand who we are as a person. It can support travel costs. It can be mental health support, whether that's an app, whether that's a check-in, whether it's mentoring or counselling, and also can provide practical equipment. So I'll be really transparent with you. I'll be quite anxious about telling you, but I have access to work. So I've got ADHD and dyslexia, and I have both provisions. So I had some equipment initially, didn't want it, be really honest about it, but the assessor that I had said, you must have it, have this equipment. £4,500. Didn't want it because I knew that wasn't going to work for me. I know myself, I know what I need. But you can have equipment that is funded by the government. Some people really buy into the equipment and it works. For me, I have to learn how to use that equipment. I'm never going to use it. But I gave it a go and I tried. I will come to the question, Emma, and I absolutely love that question, so thank you for raising it. There's the equipment side and then there's the practical support. So they're two separate provisions, and then the travel is the kind of third, but it's sort of rarely funded and there's a very specific need for it. But you can get the equipment or you can get the practical support. Just going to have a quick look at that question, if that's all right, because I think it relates to something I was mentioning. So to be able to be eligible for access to work, you don't have to have an official diagnosis. You can be on the waiting list for a diagnosis. So actually, for example, ADHD at the moment, I believe it's somewhere between a 5 to a 7 year waiting list in some areas. As long as you're going through that process or have something to be able to support that, then totally is doable. You don't have to have an official diagnosis. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the services that we do offer is we offer a diagnostic assessment, which isn't an official diagnosis. It's significantly cheaper, and what it will be is a report that says, based on the assessments that have been undertaken, the individual strongly indicates towards having ABC or being needing that support. So that is a fraction of the cost of an actual private assessment or other. So yeah, you don't actually have to have the diagnosis, but there need to be certain steps that can be put in place, and we're kind of there to be able to support people with that. Any questions thus far? All good?
So as Darryl has mentioned, communication support. So things such as note takers, that can be either remote or face-to-face. So having someone support you within your work, that could be 9 to 5, or like I said, remotely, like for an hour's meeting. You can have BSL interpreters. That's obviously something that we provide in-house. We have a bunch of freelancers across the country. We can have job coaches. Again, we have freelancers who we work with. We have a pool of support professionals. Lip speakers and speech-to-text reporters and support workers. Again, with the support workers, that could be remotely or face-to-face. That could be 9 to 5 or again for an hour a day. It is based on whatever you need, and it can be for internal or external meetings. So they could attend for an away day with you or every day of your working day. Anything that you require support with. Again, it's based on your needs, so that can vary for every person.
I think that's the key part. It's very much based on what your need is. For myself, I don't use note-taking software, because it cannot ever pick me up, and I'd be amazed if anyone's using the captions today. I'm really, really sorry. I'm known for it not being able to identify what I'm saying, but for me also, I'm very specific of what I need for notes. I don't want word for word. I need quite key points, but I don't want to miss information. I need to do. So for me, I use real life note takers, and I think it's very much ensuring that it's tailored to your needs. And the reason I use it, and being really transparent, is I use it because actually I can either take notes or I can be in the meeting. I can do one or the other, and I'd rather be in the meeting because most of mine I'm having the meeting because I need to be present. So I have someone else who can sort of keep me on track, but also can take the key points to ensure that I can then follow up with that. So some of the examples of specialist equipment, it can really vary as to what's provided, but here are some sort of regular things that we see, such things as screen readers and bits of software that you can have on your screen. So to be fair, I mentioned earlier that I don't use any of the equipment, and actually that's a lie, because there's one bit that I do use. So I have to read a lot of contracts within my role. I have to do things actually I'm not good at, but I have to do them. And I have something that blocks out, and it puts a ruler on my screen and blocks everything else out. For the reason being, I want to see what's next. I want to see if there's anything interesting, but I have to read the clause 1.2 of the contract, so it blocks out my screen. I also have something that changes the color of my screen. My preferred color is green. I can read better when things are in green. So there's some really amazing software that is out there. And I think maybe I have not been totally truthful when I've said I don't use any of it, though I use parts of the software that I use, that I have. So screen readers that can read out what's on the screen for you, dictation software so you can speak into it and it will write what's being said, headphones to be able to work with that, specialist desks and chairs. That aspect is actually changed recently with Access to Work. They'll only provide specialist chairs and desks for very sort of high level needs or very specific clients. However, it is still possible and we're still fighting for some clients to have that. Colour overlay software such as Grammarly or Carol Read or so on and so forth. Other things that we've got, 2 members of my team have Remarkables. I don't know if anyone's ever looked at the Remarkables where you write into it and it converts your handwriting into a Word document and can save it on your desktop for you in templates, so on and so forth. I had one and my handwriting is disgusting, to be really honest. So it could never pick up what I was writing, but it's really good with everyone else's. So yeah, the software that can be funded is amazing, and it really enables an individual to be their best, because actually there are some bits of software that really make a difference, and sometimes people need practical support. So you don't have to have both, you can have one or the other. Most people tend to have a bit of both.
So that's what you can receive from Access to Work. So on to the application process. So this is a very long process, unfortunately. However, we are there to support you all the way from applying for Access to Work to getting your grant, and then so on to organising your support for you. So it's an online application. This can take either short from half an hour to an hour and a half. Again, it's based on that person's needs and how much they want to apply for. So we could sit with them either face-to-face or online. We can share our screen like we're doing now, and we can show what we are applying for them for Access to Work, and we can offer them the support to apply for that. And then after you have applied, that'll get sent off. You will then get assigned a caseworker. So that can be within the initial 12 to 24 week wait. If you do not hear anything, we can of course support you with pushing for that. Again, we can support with any emails throughout that process. We can push for it, and we can draft emails for you or write text messages for you or attend a meeting with you, whatever you need. And then you have your workplace assessment. Like I said, we can attend that with you for prompting or redirecting you. We don't have to be there with you. We can just pop in and out of the meeting just to remind you of anything that you may have forgot that you have applied for. And then you may have to provide evidence. This isn't always necessary, but it may be a diagnosis that you mentioned in your application that they want to just ask for, or any letters from your doctor or GP. And then you will get your grant awarded. If you are not happy with this, we can appeal it for you. Again, we can assist you with that. You don't have to do it by yourself. And again, you may have to provide evidence. Then you will choose your supplier. You will be given 3 companies. You can get the quotes yourself, or we can help you get the quotes. And then you will choose one of those 3 companies. We can be one of them. So we can help you organise your support. We can manage all of it on our online CRM system. We can book in your support professionals and manage basically all of your admin. I think it's around 95% of your admin is covered by us. And then, as it said, that we support you throughout. And anything you are not happy with, we can support you with changing that. It could be reallocating your support professional because you don't get along with them maybe, or you have changed your needs and you just need to let us know, and then we can change that for you.
Perfect. So just a few things, I think I saw a few questions that came in at the same time. So just for us, we will support somebody from the start, and I might be jumping to the next slide, so I will stop if I am. I will stop because it's the next slide. Access to Work, the process, it takes somewhere between 6 to 9 months for an application for somebody that's in employment. So it's really worth considering that actually once you do that initial application, there's normally just a complete and utter waiting period before you actually hear anything from Access to Work in between, and our job is just to be there to support. But actually the big difference is that's if you're in a role, it can take 6, 9, 12 months. Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's longer. We very much believe that the reason for that is because of staffing within Access to Work and how many people are there, but it does fluctuate. The big difference is if somebody is going into a job and not yet started, they go to the top of the pile. So actually they, somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks, they can have this entire process finished and their award ready, be able to start employment. We always say you're more than welcome to do any of this on your own. We do not need to support you. We'll do as much or as little as someone wants, but especially if someone's starting a new role, highly recommend getting in touch with us. There's no pressure to use us after at all. It's not the way we work, but we know how to be able to push that through a little bit quicker. Perfect. There were just 2 questions that I will just tick off just because otherwise I will forget them. So can someone who is claiming PIP also apply for access to work? 100%. So access to work, any other benefits that are being claimed, it's separate. So you can be on PIP, direct payments, so on and so forth, doesn't impact that. So yeah, 100% not an issue. And the other question was, can someone who is self-employed as a sole trader also be able to access this specialist equipment, so on and so forth? 100%. So access to work is there for people who are in employment and self-employment. The only difference when it's self-employment is you tend to be able to have to demonstrate, say, maybe a business plan if it's a new business, or you'd be able to, there's a amount of turnover that the business has to have had, which is actually quite a lower amount. So maybe it might be, we recently supported someone and they had just gone self-employed and they had enough to be able to get some access to work support, but it wasn't everything that they actually wanted and needed, but that was because they didn't have enough turnover within the business that year. Once this year we're supporting them to reapply, and then they will then get so they got equipment the first year, and this year we're going to offer the equipment and the practical support. So definitely it's possible. On our website, which we'll share after, there's all the information and numbers and so on and so forth that people need. But yeah, I'm massively passionate as someone who's been self-employed for way too long, that actually it's kind of a group that I really want to be able to access it, because most people who are self-employed or run a business don't believe that they are eligible for anything like this, and they totally are. Hopefully I've answered those 2. We're going to choose something aspire. If someone has an existing counsellor, mental health support, could they continue? So so the question is regarding choosing your supplier. If someone has existing counsellor for mental health support, could they continue to use this supplier, or is it a prescribed list? So mental health is the only section that's slightly different, if I'm honest with you, because the government have a contract with a provider, and sometimes they will sort of direct to that. You can put in a request of the preferred. Most of the time when you get your award, they'll go, this is what you've been awarded. These are companies you can go with, but actually who you choose to go with is completely up to you. It just has to be within the budget. So we get a lot of clients who will come to us and they'll have their award and they'll go, I don't know what to do. And we'll say we kind of break that down. But yeah, mental health support is a slightly different one because there are contracts that the government does have, but you could have those with somebody if you preferred. It very much depends on how it's documented at the moment. So I'm not apologies, I'm not giving a direct answer to it. It's a yes and no, because the government is slightly changing a few things around the mental health support at the moment. Hopefully that answers that question. So a little bit about how we can support you and what we do. So as I mentioned earlier, our entire ethos as an organisation is we don't do hard sells. It doesn't work for us. It doesn't align with what we do. And we have a rule that we only want customers who want to be with us. If a client doesn't want to be with us, doesn't buy into us as an organisation, then politely don't choose us and don't be with us, because it doesn't work. Because actually when it comes to the human-based support, that practical support that we're providing, there has to be realism, there has to be back and forth and negotiation, because things don't go right all the time. We're not an organisation that's going to say, oh yeah, no, it's going to be perfect all the time, because we're realists. So really important for us. The entirety of our access to work support, from somebody applying or having a conversation, jumping on a call, visiting us visiting them, all the way through to them getting their support, we do not charge for. There is no charge, and we have no intention, and I have no plans for us to charge for that support. We're the only organisation that I'm aware of that doesn't charge for that. And we did some maths recently, and it costs us between £1,500 to £2,000 per person. We're currently supporting 28 people. So as an organisation, it costs us a lot. We don't get any funding for it. And I'm not going to lie to you, the reason that works for us is actually what we find, even though there's no pressure for anyone to be with us, 9 out of 10 clients who we support, when they get their award, choose to use us. For the reason being, they know us, we're real people. I'll probably have been me and said it as it is. We're not going to use corporate language. And we spent that time getting to know each other. So it works for us as a business model, but it's taken a long time for us to get there. So as we mentioned, we can support with the initial application. We'll do as much or as little as someone wants. We will not write something for someone. We won't change the word, but we might make recommendations. And that's for somebody to choose what they take up or don't. We can assist with communicating with access to work. I'll be really honest, I know it's being recorded, so I'm okay with access to work mentioning it, but the language sometimes is a barrier, and there are barriers in place with language that's used by Access to Work, and we can break that down and explain that. We can help ensure the support is there, and also if we are supporting someone, as Kelsey mentioned, we can remove about 95% of the admin of Access to Work because it can become a job in itself. Just very aware of time, so we're going to try and get through the last few slides if that's all right.
So there have been a few government changes to the Access to Work scheme. So a few of them are that they are removing flexibility, there are stricter rules, and they are taking some of the specialist aids and equipment, like Darryl mentioned earlier, away, or it's just harder to get that equipment. And they're also changing the hourly rates. However, whatever that change is, we are here to support you. Again, we will take mostly all of the admin away from you, and whatever you need, we will support you through the changes.
We just thought this might be nice, and I'm just going to check whether the sound works. It's just one of our clients who we supported from the beginning, and you may or may not recognise.
Hi, my name is Tasha. I'm profoundly deaf. I have one cochlear implant.
So you're not able to hear it.
But I also use BSL and SSE, and I have quite a few different jobs. I work for the National Deaf Children's Society. So that means I work online, on Zoom, face to face. And as well as that, I work in the media. So I did the Great British Bake Off 2 years ago. And that means I do quite a few jobs linked to that. I met Complete Communication when I applied for my first job, just after lockdown. And this is my first job after leaving university, so I wasn't sure how support in the workplace worked. I had no idea. Support out there. So when I started my first job and found Complete Communication, that anxiety just melted away, because then I understood that there was so many kinds of support available, and people available to support with the support. So things like access to work processes, understanding benefits, all those things. And that was really life-changing. And when I went on Bake Off, I knew that there was only one person that I would be happy to have in the tent with me. So I think that was a new thing for them, really. Very different situation. They supported me all through that. They created a deaf awareness training course. The staff there were ready for when I arrived. And he kind of took that burden off me in terms of advocating for what I needed. It's really tiring communicating in a hearing world. But if you have the right support, that tiredness just decreases and I can just be my best self. And that's what Darryl allowed me to do in the tent. If you're struggling and you're not sure what you need to help, that's okay, because that's where Complete Communication can support. They allow you to explore what you need and what works best for you. I would 100% recommend Complete Communication and the Inclusivity group to anyone who needs support in work or university, wherever. They are really responsive and will work their hardest to find the right support. And they just take that burden off. They reduce it for you. I couldn't do what I do without them.
Cool. So we finally got there. Do you know what, Kirsty, I'm amazed that we got here roughly on time. Can't lie, that one makes the first time I watched that, I cried my eyes out, and I cry like once every 3 years. And it was in team meeting, it was great. So always lovely. Some of our contact details are here, but I will take the PowerPoint down and we'll send them out after, if that's okay with everyone. But what we'll do, I'm just going to stop sharing, is if it's okay with everyone, what we'll probably do is we'll stop the recording and open up for Q&A. So if anyone's got any questions, we're going to stop the recording just because I want people to be able to ask what they want to ask without worrying about it being filmed.